All right. Welcome, everybody. Let me add in the amazing patron saint of
Hey,
late night breaking news. What are you the patron saint of?
woke bitches.
Okay, woke
Why
bitches.
isn't
Okay.
yeah?
I knew it was
Why isn't my
something. I knew it was
thingy?
something.
Why
Sure.
isn't my thingy showing?
Why is your what showing?
My title.
I don't know. Do you not want it to show?
No, I do want it to show because it's awesome.
I don't know. I don't
Okay.
think I touched anything. Did I touch something? Anyway.
Oh no. Okay,
Hi
I'm good.
everybody. What?
I'm good. I
Okay.
found it. Never
Hi
mind.
everybody. We are currently here's what's going on.
Ah.
It has been a 4-day now. No, 5-day now, because it's now the 14th. 5-day waiting period. Figure out what was going to happen with the Jack Smith report. So it was coming out, and then it wasn't coming out, and then it was coming out, and then 3 days ago, Eileen Cannon put this injunction in place and said it's stayed for 3 days, and no one can touch it. And there's an appeal. The appeal was denied. And this is only volume 1. We'll get to volume 2 in a second. And then at the last minute, an hour or so ago, not even an hour ago, Trump asked for the injunction to be continued, and Judge Cannon, in a shocking move, denied his request. It's the first time I recall her ever telling him no.
Yeah, that shocked me. I was like, Eileen Cannon. Like it. I had to blink twice and then think about. I'm like, am I thinking about a different Eileen Cannon?
I said on Discord, I was like, "Holy fuck balls," and you're like, "Oh, what is something to do with Elon?" And I was like, "No, this one's not Elon. For once, I'm not talking about Elon Musk."
We're all shocked.
So that's what we're wait. We're just waiting. Any moment now, we're expecting it to be dropped. I have all of the on all of the screens. Well, we have this screen where I'm managing the show. So on my other 2 monitors, I have sites where
Oh yeah.
theoretically I should be getting. The moment it drops, we should have it. What do we expect in it? We expect some of the story. Hey, April. We expect some of the story to finally be told. What we know is that Donald Trump, after his presidency, kept some classified documents that he wasn't allowed to keep. He was asked to bring them back. He said no. It appears that he had some lawyers or some minions, some other people, possibly Walt Nauta, whoever moved some of the documents different times. There are stories that he revealed them to people and said, "I'm not even supposed to be showing you this." There are allegations that some of the documents may have been sold to foreign entities. There's a lot that could be released in this. There are 2 volumes of Jack Smith's final report. This is only volume 1. So we're all waiting to see, does Garland... Sorry, somebody just said, "Who's up refreshing justice.gov?" That got me. Is Garland actually going to release it? We think so. Is it going to be in a form that we can read? We think so. Is the site going to be so crashed that nobody can access it? We think so. Anyway, the great Magneto is here. Hello, Magneto. A lot of people call him Tapioca Weasel, but I don't know if you knew this, but he is actually the real Magneto.
He
And
is.
that's not some kind of inside joke. I don't know why people keep saying that, but he is actually Magneto. He does
Can
have
confirm.
mutant powers. He can act like a
Squeal.
magnet.
Crap. I hate this
And
thing.
please don't drop that. Please leave that on your desk.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So, all right. So the Supreme Court, I understand they didn't actually give him like full immunity, but for all intents and purposes, everybody's going to act like it. So kind of it did. Does it matter?
All right. Now again, let's preface it with this. I studied pre-law in undergrad, okay? I did
Okay.
not go to law school. I am not a lawyer. All right? So, understand that, I have the most remedial training that one could get, but that in no way makes me a lawyer. So when I talk about legal things, I always want to preface it first.
This is
Not
for
a lawyer.
entertainment purposes only.
Entertainment purposes only. Okay, Magneto. All right, let's calm down. Don't throw any stadiums at me. What SCOTUS said was presidents, while in office, need the ability to take action without the fear of criminal consequences.
Right.
In other words,
That's always been a thing.
so if we're going to look at it,
But that's all. I mean, can we? Yeah, that's always been a thing, right?
Just give me 1 second.
Okay,
So
good.
we're going to not talk about Trump. Let's talk about Obama. Okay, Obama orders airstrikes in Syria. Okay, which he did. He ordered drone strikes and stuff in Syria. Should Obama be held criminally liable if those airstrikes killed civilians by mistake?
Yes. Oh,
Okay.
wait. No.
Well, I'm asking the rhetorical question real quick.
Gotcha.
We'll get to the morality in 1 second.
But
What
still a war
SCOTUS
criminal. Sorry.
What SCOTUS said is that if a president orders airstrikes in Syria and civilians die because of that order, the president should not be held criminally liable. That is when you look at it, that's
they did say that.
Okay, I disagree, but that side of the argument, that makes a lot of sense. The president is a military commander. He is acting in a military capacity in this, particular instance to defend against terrorism, whatever the justification was. Assad.
Look, sometimes war criminals got a war criminal.
Sure.
For the greater good.
Hold on.
For the greater good.
We'll get into the whole greater good thing in just a second. We're not talking about my morality in any way. I'm talking about the justification that SCOTUS was using in their decision.
I'm just saying that is what they said.
And I agree with you, but let's get to the moral part in just a second. Okay, we'll get to the moral part.
Cool.
Because you and I totally agree on that, but just let's get to the moral part in a second. So, what Trump wants to argue is not this narrow explanation of airstrikes in Syria in a war on terror, accidentally killing civilians, held criminally liable, that sort of thing. Okay, that's not, when Trump reads it. What Trump reads it as, oh, well, I can still sell state secrets to the Saudis so that they let me build a new Trump Tower, in wherever.
He did seem to hear that.
And make millions, right? So SCOTUS was talking about, and I know this sounds like I'm defending SCOTUS's decision. I am not in any way, shape, or form.
No, you're just speaking for them. Steel manning
horrible, right?
You're
absolutely.
steel manning their argument.
For sure. But their argument is that there is a narrow, implicit okay, it's been uploaded. There is a narrow, implicit protection against criminality by the protections of the First Amendment essentially.
Okay.
For when the president is, or not the First Amendment, the Third Amendment, when the president is executing his authority,
Mm-hmm.
he has the ability to do so without fear of criminal reprisals.
Sure.
And Trump's lawyer came in and said, well, so, we may want to send SEAL Team 6 to assassinate a political opponent. And SCOTUS was like, that's a great idea, right? So it turned awful. And I don't want anything that I'm saying to come across as though it didn't think it turned awful, because it turned awful. And Trump's going to use it in the most awful ways possible. But if you look at SCOTUS's argument, they were talking about something very, very narrow. Now, they knew in practicality that Trump will use it for criminality. Again, I'm not defending Alito or Roberts or any of them, but the way that it's written is that there are very narrow protections for a president.
Sure.
Okay? Now, the argument that Jack Smith made, was none of this, there's no immunity in SCOTUS's decision dealing with things that you did after the presidency.
Because you were, after the presidency, you were by definition not the president.
Well, not only that, you had left the office. So,
not the president.
Correct. So the immunity argument is not about the person, it's about the office.
Right.
Right? So SCOTUS is saying that there is a January 20th inauguration and a January 20th end of term.
Right.
Right?
Right.
And for that 4-year period, if you're making an official act, where the fucking official act is, if you're making an official act, and that official act could be seen as criminal by somebody who was not the president. If J.D. Vance ordered the airstrikes, he's fucked, I guess. I don't know. Then you have protection. Okay. While president. While elected at the, it's the highest office in the land. This doesn't apply. There is no argument. I've read everything that Cannon wrote and that Trump's lawyers said in all of those hearings and everything. Nothing they said, zero that they said applies in any way, shape, or form to that 4-year period.
Right. I don't. So what was their justification for trying to get it postponed, or what were they trying to do again? I need to read it.
Okay. So the argument was that Trump's time as president allowed him to have the ability to declassify anything. So as long as
for all time,
sure, the president of the United States has unique powers when it comes to classified information.
Sure.
And that the president, it's like when Obama talked about Area 51. Like,
oh,
Obama
because
was like, yeah, it exists. I don't know to tell you. And the intelligence community was like, well, there goes 50 years. I don't know. Great.
This wasn't a secret, but okay.
But it was an open secret, and they put a lot of resources into keeping it secret so that they could do horrible things there.
Okay.
Because they're the military. That's kind of their whole deal.
Yeah.
So the president has the ability to declassify anything whenever the president wants to. And Trump talked about that when he was out. Remember when he was like, well, I can declassify things, if I want to declassify them, I can declassify them. And that's true because the president is the head of the executive, and the head of the executive needs those abilities, to do good moral things. Imagine if, I know this is going to be a completely bonkers argument, but Maya, just imagine. Let's say that the U.S. government, what's something horrible? Okay, they would never do this, but let's pretend they got a bunch of like African American service members
Mm-hmm.
and infected all of them with like a disease. Like, let's just say it was, I don't know, syphilis. Okay. Just off the top of my head, I'm just saying, like, maybe.
Okay, I'm
And
trying to follow. It's
they didn't
really out there.
want, I know it's just something that I just completely made up. And let's say that but let's say that they'd done it recently, not the actual Tuskegee Airmen, like let's say that they'd done it 2 years ago, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And President Biden found out about it and was like, "Well, I'm going to release this information." Well, you don't want the intelligence community to be like, "Well, you can't, President Biden. You're not allowed to," right? So the theory behind it is that the
Mm-hmm.
president is in charge and the president can keep bad actors, immoral actors within the president's administration from keeping things secret that shouldn't be secret. You know, that the American people have knowledge to. Again, I'm talking very high level. I'm not talking about the actual government that actually exists. I'm not
Nah.
fucking Nate Silver. I'm just saying that is, hey Titan, hi Hollyhock. I'm just saying that is the reason why
Mm-hmm.
the president has this ability to declassify anything.
Okay. But Trump wasn't the president.
Yes. A couple of things on that. First of all, Trump's entire
Did he wait? Is he saying that he declassified it before he left, and so it was fine for him to take them?
Sometimes they've said that. Sometimes they've said there was one argument that was made, and I don't remember if it was in front of SCOTUS or in front of Cannon. But the one argument that was made at one point was that, well, we classify too much stuff anyway. We just overclassify stuff. So, you know.
Wasn't it during Trump's term that we had the ability to declassify a lot of the Kennedy documents, and we chose not to?
I believe so.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I don't disagree with that statement on its face, but
Sure. And see, this is the thing that to me is very frustrating about Trump.
I mean, it's
Is
not the
that,
part where he declassified shit that got a bunch of American spies killed.
well, yes. Some of the basis
That kinda
around
pissed me
some
off.
of his arguments
Mhm.
are like populist progressive have like this populist progressive base. Like, hey, we need to reform healthcare. Absolutely, we need to reform healthcare. We need a complete reform of healthcare. And his argument is like, we need to healthcare is not good enough. We need to make it cheaper. Well, how are you going to make it cheaper? Why aren't they raking the forests in California? And you're like, well, wait, hold on. We were talking about something else. I've got a Sharpie. And you're like, well, weren't we talking?
Yeah.
So I agree with the argument that we overclassify things.
Sure.
But in order to fix that, you need to work with the intelligence community, and you have to work with the military, and you have to work with Congress, and you have to do a lot of really, really hard, difficult things in order to fix that.
I don't think he understands the concept of work.
He doesn't. He doesn't understand the concept of concepts. Okay?
Oh, right.
Like,
He has a concept of a concept.
he can have a concept. All right, I was about to say something really mean.
Oh, no, we love snark here.
Oh, it wasn't snark.
Okay.
My point is, we probably do overclassify things, and obviously our military. I'm not talking about, whenever I dog on the military, I'm never talking about the people in the military, the people that serve in the military.
No, like the higher ups, the people that actually
Absolutely.
like run the
Nothing
military.
but love for
Servicemen. Yeah, they
99.5% of the people in the military. I love you. It's the brass, right? It's always the brass. There's a great documentary I wish everyone who followed me would watch. You can get it on Amazon Prime for $3.99. I watched it last week. It is called The Fog of War. And it is the final interview with former Secretary of Defense Robert McNamara. If you don't know who Robert McNamara was the Secretary of Defense under Kennedy and LBJ and was there for basically the entire Vietnam War. During World War II, his job was to determine how many people were going to die. He was a numbers guy for the Army, for the Air Force / Army. How many people were going to die during sorties, both on our side and for the Japanese. Mm-hmm. He worked more in the Pacific Theater. And he talks about how, and there's some recordings of him and Kennedy, where he was trying to he wanted to pull back from Vietnam, right? Okay. And Kennedy seemed open to it, and then Kennedy died. And then LBJ was very much about ramping up against Vietnam. It's one of the worst things about LBJ.
Was there a reason for that? I don't.
That's
okay.
A whole other subject.
Okay, sorry.
We can talk about Robert McNamara and
no, I don't understand why we stayed there as long as we did. But
sure,
totally different stream. Don't have to get into it.
I will do a whole stream on Robert McNamara and Curtis LeMay and LBJ sometime.
If it's not a quick answer, we'll move on.
There's not it's a very complicated, complex answer why LBJ wanted to ramp stuff up. Gotcha. It's not as simple as, it was racism. There's a whole bunch of stuff that was happening with McCarthyism and communism in the United States, and why it's very, very, very complex answer to that question.
Gotcha.
So unfortunately, we're not going to get into it right now.
Okay.
But one of the things that McNamara talked about was after the Kent State Massacre, there was a gentleman who lit himself on fire outside of the Pentagon. I don't remember the gentleman's name. He had his daughter in his arms. He lit himself on fire, and he threw his daughter to someone. His daughter survived, but he ignited himself on fire, and died. And LeMay was one of the Joint Chiefs. Was the head of the Joint Chiefs. Curtis LeMay sent troops outside to confront the protesters. And McNamara only let the troops go outside if they weren't given ammunition. Now, the protesters weren't told that the troops didn't have ammunition, but a bunch of MPs came outside, and thankfully there wasn't a repeat of the Kent State Massacre. My point is, Robert McNamara, as horrible as he was in a lot of respects, and even in the documentary, he says, if we'd lost the war, I'd have been prosecuted as a war criminal. He says that in the documentary. I mean, he talks about like how many hundreds of thousands of people we burned to death in Japan. He had enough empathy, even as awful as a human being as Robert McNamara was. He had enough empathy in him to send those troops out there without ammo.
God.
So that a mistake wouldn't happen and a bunch of protesters would die, right?
Right.
Because the framers, when they framed our laws, our Constitution, the country that we have, they assumed that everybody that was in power, even when they were awful, would have some fucking empathy. All right? Thomas Jefferson, I've talked for years about all the awful things about Thomas Jefferson. We don't talk about all there's a bunch of streams. You can go, I quote from his letters and shit. As terrible as he was, he also had a lot of empathy. He started the University of Virginia to be a free university. He wrote a letter to Patsy, his daughter Patsy, talking about, I walked out the grounds for the university today, and this is going to be a place where people come and they learn for free. This is going to be, one of the old learning spaces, like in ancient Greece, where you didn't pay for it. Like, it was just people that were learning and debating. And that was his dream for the University of Virginia.
That is so cool.
He was broke later in life, had a bunch of books, donated all of his books to the U.S. government, and that's why we have a Library of Congress today.
Did not know that.
That started with Thomas Jefferson. So, like, that's my point. As awful as he also said, Thomas Jefferson also said, this is a direct quote to John Adams, slavery is like holding a wolf by the ears. You don't like it, but you dare not let it go. So the same guy was both things.
Yeah.
And the framers assumed that the people in power would be like them, right? George Washington.
I mean, you would think, like, why would you want to be in power? I mean, they were all evil in their own right, but they were patriots, like true, like they loved the country. Like you can't say what you will about them, and you did. I still remember the time that you found your love of Jefferson is so strong that when we're talking about David Icke for a solid 2 hours, you still found time to wedge in some Jefferson hatred.
You know, here's the thing. You have to, the reason that I weave in, stop licking my arm. Sorry, the dog is here. He's literally, my hand is hitting his head. He's literally right here. That was his nose popping up, if you just saw his nose. The reason I bring up Jefferson and Washington so much, because Washington, here's a story about Washington. Washington's manservant, sorry, it is after midnight. Billy D, who went with him everywhere. Billy D was considered the second best horseman in Virginia, right behind George Washington, right? Mm-hmm. George Washington, in the same letter, literally the same letter, he talks about how Billy D is his family. And he was also sad recently because he had to beat him. Right? So, like, you have to look at who these men were and how they lived their lives. All of them considered themselves, well, the ones that were slave owners, considered themselves compassionate slave owners, by the way. That was part of the Enlightenment that they were all a part of. Thomas Jefferson, who was raping Sally Hemings and fathering multiple children with her starting when she was 14 years old, considered himself a compassionate slave owner. Sally Hemings was the half-sister of his dead wife because their father had raped Sally Hemings' mother, who was also his slave. And that's how Sally Hemings was born into a life where she was sold to her father's half-sister's husband, and then was also raped and had fathered multiple children. See, but at the same time, he was starting the University of Virginia, and he was starting the Library of Congress. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, you look at this and you're like, how does this doesn't make any sense. But they all considered themselves empathic, and they all believed, and it is written throughout the document, that every leader that would come after them would share that same empathic thread. And Donald Trump does not.
Oh, no. I don't know that he ever does. So I can't remember what I was watching, but it was somebody that knew Trump, like had worked with him for years. And the way he was describing Trump is that, you know, Donald, he thinks that everybody is trying to get one over on everyone else. And that's why he refers to so many people as suckers. Right. It's like you didn't get them before they got you. So that makes you the sucker. And like that's how he lives his life. And that's how he thinks that everyone else lives their life too. So in that kind of framework, there's no room for empathy. Because if I give of myself, I'm just becoming a sucker.
It is the same reason that he and Elon identify with one another. Mm-hmm. Because they've both lived this life of privilege, where they've had access to enough research. You think Elon's ever had to miss a meal, right?
Not from appearances, but I'm being fat phobic.
Sorry. I'm just saying. Has Elon Musk ever woken up and been like, I have no idea how I'm going to pay my electricity bill this month? right?
I don't even think he's worried about it. I don't think he's ever lost. I mean, I remember being a young mom and like literally crying, like not sure, if I was going to be able to put food on the table or put gas in the car to get to work and how it's going to make all that work out. And there's zero chance he's ever had to do that.
Right. And so, everybody's like, why isn't Elon and Donald Trump, why aren't they donating to California recovery efforts, right? Because they've never lived that experience. They don't possess that empathic string that Taylor Swift, I mean, she's lived a life of privilege too. I'm not saying that she hasn't, obviously, but she donated $10 million, right? Her boyfriend donated $1 million.
Yeah.
And yet Elon Musk and Donald Trump, they're too busy lying about water from Canada or whatever it is.
Yeah, they love the country so much. They want to rename the Gulf of Mexico the Gulf of America.
Yeah, I asked on Blue Sky, no one answered. When do we tell them that changing the name from Gulf of Mexico to Gulf of America is feminizing it?
I did screenshot it and put it on my Instagram, though. That was great.
And no one gave me a good answer to that. But I don't think that we do tell them. I just like, okay, well, you made an entire ocean sea. I guess that's a sea. Made an entire sea into a woman. So fantastic, they're dumbasses. And what does it even mean to read? Like, what, Congress just passes a bill that says now it's called the Gulf of America? Like, okay, no one's gonna. I would definitely
Yeah.
this shit.
Well, and apparently that will reduce the cost of eggs.
Sure. Anyway, if you're just tuning in, we're waiting on the Jack Smith report to drop. We assumed it was dropping at midnight. I told Maya, okay, 15 minutes.
No, everybody is. I'm on new Twitter, and like everybody's just like kind of like staying up and waiting with bated breath, like
Right.
any minute now, any minute now. So what I'm pretty sure will happen is I'll wake up and something will have happened. Maybe. Why do we think it'll happen tonight?
Well, because the injunction expired at midnight.
Okay.
Now, it is possible that Merrick Garland is simply asleep because he has to actually. So it wasn't that it was going to be released at midnight. It's that the injunction on releasing it lifted at midnight.
Okay.
So
And we are waiting for Merrick Garland out of the kindness of his heart to.
basically, now
Okay. That's a great
there
plan.
could be some sort of emergency filing, some sort of stay, injunction. The way that we find out that these things happen is they get filed on court dockets,
Yeah.
which reporters are refreshing and checking all the time.
Sure.
And so they see it come up on the court docket, and then the document is released or, whatever. I mean, I follow like 4 different reporters in the last 30 seconds as I'm talking have all said, like Joshua Friedman just said, "Oh, I'm out of quarters," which is a joke because he's saying he's putting quarters in the machine to get
Right.
So, is it gonna? Sorry, Devin Cal just skeeted. Can somebody wake him up and with a picture of Merrick Garland? I thought it was pretty funny. Okay. See, okay. Since we don't have a Jack Smith report to talk about, we're going to talk about this Titan. And by the way, you're really going to enjoy my dad tomorrow night because he is.
Oh, he's.
You think I'm a sarcastic, pedantic asshole?
Oh,
Where
we
do you think
do.
I got it from?
Wait, it's not Titan?
Oh. So, okay. So there's only one ocean. There's a Nautic Ocean. There's an Atlantic Ocean. There's a Pacific Ocean. There's a Baltic Ocean. There's an Indian Ocean, an entire ocean made of Indian people, which I don't really think that's fair, but I mean, it's their ocean. They can do whatever they want with it.
Ethan. Haven't you seen the memes? There's the American Ocean,
Right.
the other American Ocean,
That's right.
and the Gulf of America.
That's true. That's true.
So, like,
I
stop.
actually read the other day because I was like, what's the origin of America? Because I learned about it like when I was a kid, but I'd just forgotten what it was. And all it was some guy was making a map in the
Yeah.
1600s and was like, didn't some Italian, what was that guy's name? Amerigo. That's terrible.
Yeah. No, yeah,
Amerigo.
like, well, no, yeah, Amerigo Vesper started with a V.
Yes.
So he was the only one that actually had the Americas
Right.
on his map. And so other map makers, when they were placing them, they would refer to them as the Americas,
Right.
and it just fucking stuck.
And it just stuck.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's it.
That's it. That's the whole reason that we call it America. It's not like, like Colombia. Whenever you hear the word Colombia, like Colombia, it resolves from basically freedom, a version of the freedom of living, like living free, living without restraint.
Hmm.
Like that has a beautiful origin. America just is because the guy was named Amerigo. Like that's it. That's all. Like
Yeah.
there's no great reason why we call it America, right?
I
There's
mean,
not a big like.
if it weren't America, it would be Freedom Land. Like we're stupid, right?
Right. Well, and Vespucci, thank you. It was Vespucci.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I was trying to say.
Amerigo Vespucci. And God, if Titan was my dad, oh God. Tomorrow night's gonna be fun. Tomorrow night, 7:30. Bring all your religion questions. My dad can answer these.
Oh, right. Ethan was telling me, not Ethan. Not
Yeah.
Ethan was telling me about his dad, who is an Episcopalian preacher,
Well, he's an Episcopalian deacon,
deacon.
right? Which is
Which
not a pastor. So
he's not a
in the Episcopalian
pastor,
church,
and he's not a preacher, even though he does preach.
no, deacons
Okay.
don't preach. So, okay.
Don't they
In
preach it in the?
because
Don't they preach in the absence of the head holy guy?
No,
Okay.
no. So Catholicism, from Catholicism you get Anglicanism. From Anglicanism,
Yes, EST. Sorry, go
you
ahead.
get both Lutheranism and Episcopalianism.
Sure.
Okay, so they're derived from Catholicism.
Mhm.
In Catholicism, the priests ran the church, and the deacons were like the priest's assistant. But a deacon meets all of the qualifications to be a priest,
Mm-hmm.
except they do not take pay for it. Deacons are traditionally unpaid. There's some dioceses where things happen, but that is the tradition is that the deacons, it was pure service. They did not receive any compensation from the church for their service.
Okay.
So yeah, 7:30 Eastern time. My dad's going to be here. We're going to talk about the spread of Christian nationalism. He's got some books he wants to talk about. He was like, what are you doing on the next show? And I was like, I don't know. He's like, it'd be great. You should talk about Christian nationalism. I'm like, well, I'm not.
I love listening to Telltale's been doing a lot of Christian nationalism. I've been learning a lot. And there's also this channel, it's called The New Evangelicals.
Right.
And so they talk about, I don't know, it's been interesting learning about like,
Yeah, and like, I'm not against talking about this stuff. It's just that listen, early American history. You want to talk about some Thomas Paine? You want to talk with me about John Hancock? We can talk about Paul Revere's silversmith trade. Like, come at me. Let's talk about Abigail Adams. Let's talk about some Abigail Adams. But you bring out, and you're like, okay, in 12th Corinthians, Peter said that Jack.
No, it's not about that. It's like, it's great. Like, I love that you like a book, but like, there's shit that's going on like 12 hours ago, right?
Right.
And so my major was psychology. So I like knowing why people are trying to like strip all my rights. So you listen to people who are actually in it, and they're like, oh yeah, let me tell you how fucking crazy these people are and why
Sure.
they think that, because that's my ish.
Well, and just real quick, just a little sidebar. Garland did just release the report to Congress, has not been released to the public, but Congress did just receive the report.
Okay.
So just let you know, we are still waiting. Just want to throw that out there.
Who would be in charge of releasing it in Congress?
Well,
are we talking like a Chuck Schumer, or are we talking like a Mike Johnson?
The thing is, as soon as it's handed over to Congress, it would be my understanding that it would be handed over to everyone on. Well, it doesn't matter. The major media just had it. We'll have it within 5 to 10 minutes. It
Who's
would
major
be handed
media?
to everyone on like the Judicial Committee, the Oversight Committee.
Wait.
There would be specific committees that it would be handed to, but it's handed to everybody on the. It's not just handed to.
Oh, okay.
You know, once it's released, it's released, and you know, there's going to be some Democrat who's going to be like, "Here, just go give it to CNN." Like it's
right.
It's gonna, it
Jake
happened that
Tapper.
fast. I mean,
It just happens to be sitting next to me. There you go.
But before we get into that, so while I'm selling my dad tomorrow night, very interesting thing about my dad, he grew up a Jehovah's Witness.
Oh God.
He was a Jehovah's Witness until I was 5 years old. When I was I barely remember it. Like it was, maybe I was even younger than 5. So I barely have any recollection of being, you know, in the Jehovah's Witness. But my dad was also involved with a lot of like ex-Jehovah's Witness organizations, like getting people out of the cult. So he's got a lot of experience with like the cult-like mentality of MAGA and Christian nationalism, and that he wants to talk about all that stuff. So it's gonna be a lot of fun. It's gonna be very.
No, I would totally be in the live chat because I love listening to stuff like that.
I
And
do too.
You look like you're very uncomfortable. It's like, oh, we're gonna do all this boring shit.
No. It's no. I'm not. I'm my. It's not my area of expertise, but thankfully, Kitty knows a ton about it.
Oh, cool.
So, mainly my job tomorrow night is to shut the fuck up.
Can you
and
do
let
that?
my dad and Kitty talk,
Okay.
and basically make some dick jokes when I can.
Hey, I have faith in you. You're gonna find a way to shit on Jefferson. I know it.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, if you think I hate Thomas Jefferson, my dad really hates Thomas Jefferson.
Oh wait, okay. So back to my original question. And I know we've been like going all over the place, and that was mainly because I wanted to keep you up because it amuses me. And I didn't think the thing would drop.
It's
so
130 pages.
Oh, that is awesome. I was hoping it'd be like 900 pages. Like, this is all the way. Fucked Americans over. This is what you voted for, assholes. I'm really mad that he's going to be the president again. Anyways. All right. So he's going to be the president again. Let's just say it came out that he was intentionally selling American secrets for cash. He knew people were going to die. And he was just like, fuck him. I make more money. Does it matter?
To who?
Anyone. Is there any, like,
here's
what happens? Like, does anything happen? Yeah. But like, okay, let's just take that scenario.
Okay.
Is there any difference in how our lives play out throughout the year, whether that is true or this never ever came out? She said, nope, this stays under lock and key. I'm taking it with, it'll be in my coffin with me.
The thing is, and we're going to talk about this a lot tomorrow night. What you have is a concentrated group of people who believe one of 3 things. Okay? Either A, this is what most of them believe. Most of people who are MAGA or Trump adjacent believe that they are part of a counterculture revolution against rich liberal elites who are trying to rewrite their society in ways that they're either not ready for or don't agree with. Okay? That's the vast majority of MAGA.
Sure.
and just Trump adjacent people. They are not. They don't. They're not necessarily. They wouldn't be the kind of person that would just drop the N-word casually at Panera Bread, right?
Okay. Okay.
But they are. They don't. They're not comfortable with or don't like. I don't know what the right word is. Like the BLM movement after George Floyd, they thought that was too much.
Obviously.
Or they think that trans women shouldn't be in women's sports, right? Those kinds of, like, they have these culture issues, and Trump represents a counterculture, almost 60s like revolution against, but like conservative revolution against liberalism. It's fucking bonkers. I agree that it's fucking bonkers, but that's most of MAGA.
Sure. Sure.
Okay.
I don't
Then
disagree.
you've got, right. And then you've got the second group who will gladly drop the N-word at Panera Bread. They're a far smaller portion of MAGA, but they are motivated.
Very loud.
They're the bigots who are motivated by the bigotry. Okay. You're not getting any of them. They're Trump ride or die. The problem is no one else but Trump is getting any of them. And the Republicans have zero plan for how to keep them after Trump.
Right.
We'll fucking see. And then you've got the third group that are these kind of militant libertarians, very small sliver, but they're like your Proud Boys, your third percenters. Like, they literally want armed revolution, unalive.
Yeah.
The liberals in
White ethno
LGBTQ,
state types.
Right. And that's a very small sliver. So the second group and the third group, there ain't a damn thing you're doing about it. There is a possibility, and I would put this at like 20%.
Okay.
That if some part of this report reveals that Trump specifically sold secrets to, whether it was the Saudis, whether it was Mossad, whether it was the Iranians, whether it was Russia, probably wasn't Russia, that where he knew that our intelligence assets were going to be killed, and he did that anyway, that there could be a turn of some of those people, and then that could get some representatives in Congress and maybe even some senators to not be as forceful towards the Trump agenda. There is no way in hell. Trump is at a point, okay, where he could go out on Fifth Avenue. I'm on YouTube and Twitch, so I have to be very careful about how I say this. Trump could go out onto Fifth Avenue with a baby doll, like a baby doll, like a toy, right? Okay.
Totally a toy.
Totally a toy. And tape, right? But not tape. We're putting a different consonant at the front of tape. Right? That,
sure.
Okay?
Yeah.
And then use a kind of a thing to write.
Sure.
Okay? In the middle of Fifth Avenue. And most of those people would justify it somehow. Okay? That's the point that we're at. I'm not happy about it. That's the point that we're at. And, well, if he sold secrets to the Saudis, well, our country's done terrible things for a long time. And, hey, if that's what happens, then that's what Trump wanted to do. And that they will just justify it.
I am worried that that's a bigger percentage of the base than you're letting on.
I listen, I would say that it's probably 90% of them.
Okay. Cool.
So, well, maybe not 90%, but
I'm thinking 75 at minimum.
I could see that. Nope, not you. We want you to be spotlit. And we want us. Why is it doing this to me?
It hates
we
you.
want this to be spotlit. And us to be to the side. Like, why is this? Oh,
move it. Yeah, you have to move it.
Oh, okay.
Just grab it.
I'm
Move.
trying. There we go. All
There
right.
you go. You did it.
All right. Let's do it this way.
Um,
Here's the Jack Smith report.
yeah, but okay. Just before we get
So
into it though, like
go ahead.
I mean, if this is damaging to him, like, does anything happen? Like, it's not like he's not under any
Listen,
threat of
here's what I,
being impeached or having
maybe.
the 20th Amendment or.
Do I think that he's going to get impeached? Probably not. I want to fit width. Oh, is that it? Really? Oh, okay. All right. That's a little bit better. I hope you can read this. Dear Mr. Attorney General,
You know,
in the
the
fall of
audience is just here for the
2022,
dick
I'm going to
jokes.
read. I want to read the first two paragraphs real quick because I just
Gotcha.
want to know what they say. Former President Donald J. Trump was subject to two separate criminal investigations by the Department of Justice. The first was an investigation to whether any person violated the law in connection with efforts to interfere with the lawful transfer of power following the 2020 presidential election. A second investigation focused on the possession of highly classified documents at Mr. Trump's Mar-a-Lago social club following his presidency. On November 15, 2022, Mr. Trump declared his candidacy to unseat President Joseph R. Biden Jr., who had previously stated his intention to stand for re-election. Mr. Trump's announcement created a highly unusual situation, yes it did, in which the department, an agency within the executive branch headed by President Biden, was conducting criminal investigations regarding his newly declared challenger, based on a long-standing recognition that in certain extraordinary cases, it is in the public interest to appoint a special prosecutor to independently manage an investigative prosecution. You, as the Attorney General, promptly did so here to underscore the department's commitment to both independence and accountability in particularly sensitive matters. It's a citation. On the day that I was appointed, by the way, this is all from Garland. This is Garland's letter. On the day that I was appointed, I pledged that I would exercise independent judgment, follow the best traditions of the Department of Justice, and conduct my work expeditiously and thoroughly to reach whatever outcome the facts and law dictated. With the aid of an outstanding team, that is what I did. Upon my appointment, I organized a staff of experienced career federal prosecutors, and together we conducted the investigations and subsequent prosecutions under our mandate, consistent with the department's traditions of integrity and nonpartisanship that have guided all of us throughout our careers. He's citing some other prosecutor here. I've been a career prosecutor in local, national, and international settings over the last 3 decades, working shoulder to shoulder with hundreds of prosecutors in that time. The prosecutors and staff are in my estimation. Okay, I'm grateful. I know you are as well. He's really just... I relied greatly on the counsel judgment and advice of our team. Okay. The claim from Mr. Trump that my decisions as a prosecutor were influenced and directed by the Biden administration or other political actors is, in a word, laughable. Okay, glad he said that. While we were not able to bring the cases we charged to trial, I believe the fact that our team stood up for the rule of law matters. I believe the example our team set for others to fight for justice without regard for the personal costs matters. The facts, as we uncovered them in our investigation and set forth in my report, matter. Experienced prosecutors know that you cannot control outcomes. You can only do your job the right way for the right reasons. I conclude our work confidently that we have done so and we have met fully our obligations to the department and our country. Could you please stop farting? Like, I don't care that you lay there, but Jesus, dude. Accompanying this letter, I am providing you a confidential report explaining the prosecution or declination decisions reached by the special counsel. It's cited. I understand that you are considering whether all or part of my report can be made public, consistent with applicable legal restrictions. Both volumes minimize the identification of witnesses and co-conspirators, consistent with accepted department practice, and we have provided a redacted version of Volume 2 that identifies certain information that remains under seal. So Volume 2 has the under seal stuff. Or is restricted from public disclosure by federal rule of criminal procedure. Because Volume 2 discusses the conduct of Mr. Trump's alleged co-conspirators in the classifieds document case, Waltine Nauta and Carlos de Oliveira, consistent with department policy, Volume 2 should not be publicly released while their case remains pending. So Merrick Garland is officially telling the president that he does not want... This is to the president, right?
Attorney General.
Well, it's from...
It
Oh
says
no,
Garrett.
no, this is from Jack Smith to the Attorney General. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I apologize. Though not required prior to finalizing the report, my office provided an opportunity for counsel for Mr. Trump to review both volumes, and for counsel for his former co-defendants in the classified documents case, Mr. Nader and Mr. De Oliveira, to review volume 2. After their review, counsel for Mr. Trump wrote a letter to you, and we have provided a written response to you, both of which you will find as an addendum to this report. With this report, my service and the service of my staff is complete. Thank you for the trust you placed. So this is volume 1 is the election case.
Okay.
Report on efforts to interfere with the lawful transfer of power following the 2020 presidential election or the certification of the Electoral College vote held on January 6, 2021. This won't move the needle at all.
No.
Trump has convinced his followers that the 2020 election was illegitimate.
Well, I mean, and what pisses me off is that he's also convinced them not to believe their lying eyes.
Right.
And so volume 2 won't be released until ever.
You know, the thing is, I'm going to put this back up because of the table of contents. The thing is, with those 2 cases pending, I don't see the report being released while those cases are pending because there's evidence
No, yeah,
in
obviously
there that could affect a jury, right?
I mean, no. I totally get that.
So, no, it's never ever going to trial. But if it were to go to trial, obviously, I mean, I love due process too. I wouldn't want the jury, if it was me and if I was innocent, I wouldn't want the jury influenced by a bunch of evidence that was cooked up or was like, that's why we have due process. There's other parts of due process, but, talking about specifically evidence. So, I wouldn't want it out there either. At the same time, this is a case that affects national security in ways that are difficult to properly articulate. And, if those 2 people went free just so that information could be released and the American people could see the terrible, horrible things that Trump did, I think that's a pretty good trade-off myself. I would hate that they would escape prosecution. But at the same time, if it's true that he was selling secrets to the Israelis and the Saudis and whoever else, we deserve to know that.
Yeah. I mean, I would certainly hope it wouldn't take another 4 years for us to know that, but I don't know. Me personally, I don't think that anything negative is going to happen to Trump, even if he did. So I'd rather see somebody get prosecuted for it.
Sure. And, the other thing is Trump had pardoned him.
Oh, right. Well,
and that's been my
I
argument.
don't know. Everybody keeps saying that.
That's been my argument since the beginning, where people are like, well, if it gets released, then they're going to get out. He's just going to pardon them.
Okay.
So it doesn't matter.
I don't know. Trump sells pardons.
Oh, no, he's going to pardon them.
Why?
Day one,
Why?
they'll get pardoned.
Why?
Because they've been loyal.
Okay.
Oh, I guarantee you he pardons them. Guarantee you. Nauta and Olivier are both pardoned day one.
Only if he gets something out of it.
He's
not the kind of the guy that does something out of the goodness of his own heart.
He's already gotten something out of it.
Okay.
Can you imagine if both of them went public and went to Simon Schuster, whoever, and were like, let's write a book? They would get millions for that book.
Okay.
And neither of them are doing that.
Okay. Do you remember that time his entire transition team went to jail? I
do.
I don't know. Everybody keeps saying, oh, he's going to pardon all the January 6 people. Oh, he's going to do X, Y, and Z. Like, oh, he's only ever pardoned people whenever like there was something damaging against him, or they gave him $2 billion up front. 2 million. Million with an M, not a billion.
I know.
But like, he pardoned a lot of those people. I just,
I
I'm
think,
not. I mean, and I'm not going to die on the hill, but I'm just saying, I I wouldn't be surprised if he went either way. But everybody seems so convinced that he's going to pardon just everybody he can that ever did anything for him because he's so grateful. And I'm like, are you not paying attention to who this man is?
well,
Not you per se, but
I agree with you on the January 6th people. I don't think many of them are getting pardoned. Some of them will, but I don't think the vast majority of them are getting pardoned. But Nauta and Oliveria didn't turn state's evidence against him. If either one of them had turned state's evidence, that would have sped up the trials so fast. One of the reasons the trials were so delayed is that Trump would delay, then Nauta would delay, then Oliveria would delay. And so they were staggering out their delays. And that
right,
slowed things down even more, right?
right.
So they were doing him favors. I think he. And here's the other thing: if they are prosecuted, all of that information in Volume 2 is prosecuted. So maybe he won't pardon them. Maybe he'll just have the DOJ drop it. He'll just have Pam Bondi drop the case or slow walk it or whatever. But there's no. I've been saying this for a while. Like, Smith, just fucking drop it and just release the report, bro. Just do it. Like, it's because the other thing is that once Trump gets elected, if he either pardons them or Bondi drops the case, we don't see the report either. So,
So what's the mechanism for that? Why wouldn't we be able to? If the case is dropped, why wouldn't we be able to see it?
because Trump's DOJ will never release it to Congress.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
I do think they take the. I think we get it. I do think we get it.
I mean, I hope so. I genuinely do. I mean,
I'd be shocked if, because everything against him has come out.
I do want to read the conclusion real quick.
Yeah.
So let me get to that. I don't know how long this conclusion is, guys, but
Yeah, it's what we're here for.
I can't just go to page 136, really?
Seriously?
Come on.
Oh, that's bullshit.
There we go. I think it was something wrong with my.
Oh, yeah, I got there immediately.
Yeah.
This
The keyboard was not.
time to upgrade.
Okay. Let's read this. Oh, why? Come on now. Definitely don't want to spotlight my ugly ass. All right.
You look beautiful.
So this is. You look beautiful. This is the conclusion from the report. So I just want to. I don't know how long this is. Doesn't appear to be very long, so let's just read it. On remand from the Supreme Court's decision in Trump, the district court set a litigation schedule whereby the parties would submit briefs regarding whether any material in the superseding indictment was subject to presidential immunity, ECF number 233. The parties were in the middle of that process when the results of the presidential election made clear that Mr. Trump would be inaugurated as President of the United States on January 20th, 2025. As described above, it has long been the department's interpretation that the Constitution forbids the federal indictment and prosecution of a sitting president, but the election results raised for the first time the question of the lawful course when a private citizen who has already been indicted is then elected president. The department determined that the case must be dismissed without prejudice before Mr. Trump takes office, and the office therefore moved to dismiss this indictment on November 25th, 2024. The district court granted the motion the same day. The department's view that the Constitution prohibits the continued indictment and prosecution of a president is categorical, and does not turn on the gravity of the crimes charged. Damn, that is strong language. The strength of the government's proof or the merits of the prosecution, which the office stands fully behind. Indeed, but for Mr. Trump's election and imminent return to the presidency, the office assessed that the admissible evidence was sufficient to obtain and sustain a conviction at trial.
Okay, this answers my question.
That is Jack Smith himself saying, I had him.
Yeah.
The only thing that saved Donald Trump was being elected president.
And that's why he fought so fucking hard to get this.
Because Trump fucking knew what he was doing. Trump knew
Yeah.
that
Oh,
he
yeah.
lost.
100%.
That's why. If Trump really thought that he won, then why did he call Georgia to say, "I need you to find me 11,780 votes, boys"? Come on. I mean, obviously he knew he fucking lost,
Yeah.
and so he did all this. I mean, we were just looking at the table of contents. That's the reason I was on the table of contents is basically here's the list of all the shit Trump did. Oh, it's not even loading. There's so many people looking at it. It's not even loading. I mean, look, pressure on state officials, his fraudulent elector plan, misuse of official power through the Justice Department, pressure on the vice president, supporters attack the United States Capitol, conspiracy to defraud the United States, obstruction, conspiracy. These are all the shit that he did, right?
God.
Like Smith was like, I had him.
Why couldn't this have come out like a year ago? What the
This is my favorite.
fuck?
Hold on. This is my favorite. E is just other charges. Like, there's so many charges. He did so much shit that we have a whole chapter just called all the other shit, right? Like he did this shit, this shit, and this shit.
I've got to read
He did
this.
some other shit too. We're just going to group that over here because we don't have time.
And you know what pisses me off? It's like nobody read the Mueller report. Nobody's going to read this. I mean,
Right.
news junkies like me and you, but like,
Sure.
Nobody's ever going to know. Like nobody. No. I don't know how you like. Oh, what was the other thing that came out about him? Like nobody who like looks at this shit says, "Oh yeah, this person is fit to be president."
No, of course not. Who this person isn't fit to work at McDonald's. Okay?
He couldn't pass the background.
He couldn't pass the background. I mean, that pisses me off sometimes. Like every time I renew my licenses, I have to get FBI background checked.
Yeah.
Every single time. There's a place over here, and I have to go up to the machine, and you have to wipe the machine down, and I have to put this thing,
Yeah.
sanitizer, whatever, on my hand. You have to put it on the glass, and it has to scan my whatever. Like, I have to do that at minimum every 2 years.
Yeah.
Right? I have to go get my FBI background check to make sure that I haven't committed crimes or whatever. Trump could not get the licenses that I have, and I'm just some fucking idiot, right? I'm just some moron. And Trump literally could not get the licenses to do what I do because of all the things that he's done.
I mean, you sell needed things to war vets. So I mean, it's kind of noble.
It just blows my.
I mean, considering he's trying to like take all their funding away, because government efficiency or some dumb.
Yeah. For those who don't know, I help people retire for a living.
Yeah, I wasn't sure how.
I either help people, somebody who's working, I help them plan to retire, or once somebody retires, I also. You have to all the money that you save for retirement, you have to turn that into income. Like it doesn't. Yeah. It doesn't happen by magic, and so I help people do that. That's what I do for a living. I'm saying Trump couldn't get the licenses that I have. Like Trump would literally right now, because he's a convicted felon, you can't. I mean, I think if you have a felony, like you can apply to the commissioner to get a amendment or something. I don't know what the word is.
Not his felonies.
Right, but not his felonies, not falsifying business records. It would be like if somebody had, if you had like a DUI like 12 years ago or something. Like,
right, exactly.
You can report that to the commissioner and be like, yeah, and then I did this and I did that, and like, I'm fine now. And, you can still get, it's the same for real estate and insurance and adjustments.
Yeah.
And stuff.
It's a lot of things, yeah.
Nurses.
I'm health. Yeah, I am healthcare administration.
Right.
Like, and I don't do the federal background, but like all my nurses do.
Sure.
It's insane.
Absolutely.
I mean, I do get a background check. It's not like the fingerprint. It's not CJIS. Yeah.
Right. Right. And like, I'm about to be securities licensed. Like I'm about to be able to help people buy securities too. And I'll have to, when I get that license, even though I just had to do my FBI background check to renew my license, I'll have to do it again.
Yeah.
When I get that license,
yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's just a thing that you have to do. And Trump would not be able to pass.
Nope.
Would not be able to pass it.
No.
Um,
Like I don't there any position that requires a license, he would be disqualified for it. Like
right.
nobody
100%.
in the right mind, especially this recently. It's
100%.
just
Although I don't know, maybe he'd get it anyway. Listen, we're not going to sit here and read 174 pages tonight.
no. I put the link to the report in the chat just now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And thanks, Scott, for asking because
I will put it in here for you now. Oh, Maya did. Okay.
yeah.
I cannot promise that you'll be able to read it. I'm also going to put it in the Discord.
Oh yeah, I made Ethan wake up and read it to me. That's kind of how all this happened. I'm like, this sounds juicy. I don't know what I'm reading. Read it to me.
If you are watching this, good Lord, if you're watching this later, I'm putting a link to the Discord in the chat right now. You can go there, and I'm pinning it in the general chat. I'm pinning it to the top of the page. There you go. It is pinned. So, if you're watching this later, you want to go read it for yourself, feel free. Just use that link. Go into the Discord. The general channel, it is pinned at the top. Titan is messaging me about something. Oh, he's sending me the thank you. Oh, what? What is Titan sent me something? I don't know. What is?
It's a Rick roll.
Oh,
don't do it.
No. It's just a story about. It's okay. Yeah. No, I know. We're good. I guess he sent that a while ago. I think.
What the Rick roll?
Yeah, it was just a story about the
playing.
About it being released. We got it. I think it was already being released over here, and I just didn't see it. I don't look at Discord very often while I'm streaming. Anyway, tomorrow night or tonight, I guess now tonight, if you're on the East Coast, at 7:30, join us. Kitty and I are going to be here with my dad. My dad is an Episcopal deacon and a theologian. We're going to talk about the spread of Christian nationalism. He's got a couple of books he wants to talk about. My dad's a very funny, smart guy, so don't worry about that. I mean, obviously, but yeah. So make sure you come and join. I'd love everybody to be here. Maya, where are you going to be anywhere this week? Are you going to be on any?
Yeah, you can come by, see us on Sunday. We're doing I don't know. I host a show every Sunday at 9:30 to 11:30 p.m. EST. We call it Bad Science Sunday, and we did bad political science last week. I think we're doing bad MLMs this week.
Okay.
So see how that goes.
I was on there a while ago, with you and Magneto.
Yeah, no, you should come back.
You should.
I'm kind of booked through March right now, which is far. I will be circling back with you because you're fun.
Yeah, we'll have some fun, and I'll.
That was a blissful time. I think it was like pre-election, and we all had hope.
It was the week. I think it was the week before the election.
Yeah, you remember having hope.
2 weeks before, but I will dress as Professor X, so that way, because I'm going up against Magneto. I mean, it only makes sense for me to be Professor X to Tapioca Weasel's Magneto. So anyway,
I love it. But yeah, no.
Okay, Titan. All right, I should always have Discord open for you. Okay.
No, he makes me do it too.
Okay, I'll keep that in mind.
We love you, Titan.
I love you very much. I love all of you. I love you, Miss Maya. I love all you guys. Follow me, Blue Sky, ProLibShow.com. Follow Maya.
Well, yeah, Maya. I threw my link in the chat.
You did. Okay, good.
Titan threw it in the chat, and
okay,
they're all good.
Thank you guys for being here, and we'll see you. We'll see you in about 16 hours.
Sure.
Just about.